place. I don't know how long I will stay. Probably a few weeks, 3-4 weeks. So I'm now in New Delhi. I'm going up north to Rishikesh. So it's a very interesting place, very fascinating. It's a huge culture shock, really. People, I've been here quite a few times, but you never get ready. You know, it's just always like full of surprises. So today is a Sunday, and see some celebration outside. So I just wanted to touch base with you guys on what is happening in Israel. So now you have something which is really dramatic. It's about the bombing of Gaza, and they are talking about an incursion inside Gaza. And the interesting part is that they are trying to displace people. They want actually a million Palestinians to move to Egypt. So when I used to ask the question, really, when you look at what is happening, is it? I have a feeling that it's kind of it could be like kind of a bait that the Hamas took, because when you look at this whole what they call intelligence failure, it seems too big. It seems way too big. Usually, what happens in Gaza is that whoever gets close to a fence, they just have so sophisticated intelligence and electronics. This whole setup is it's a prison. You have to imagine a prison. Can you break outside a prison that easily? I don't believe that. So I have the impression that maybe Hamas didn't get help from Israel, but I think they kind of were closing an eye. The secret services, the Shin Bet, the Mossad, they knew what was happening, and they were closing an eye, because ultimately, if they really managed to get 1 million Palestinians out of Gaza, take most territories, is going to the long-term plan to depopulate Palestinian territories and to grab more lands. And also, I've been critical of Hamas. I mean, again, I'm not. I think only Palestinians know what they're going through. Only them, what it means to be occupied territories, what it means to be oppressed, what it means to be humiliated. Only them. So, if they chose Hamas, then that's their decision. But what I want to point out is we need to keep in mind that Hamas was propped up by the Israelis against the Fatah, because they wanted a party they could demonize as being radical and more violent, more prone to violence. So it was propped up, and actually there are a few articles on The Intercept and New York Times that actually says clearly, well, Hamas was actually getting some funding at some point from the Israelis, and actually also from Qatar, of course, but they got the funding from Qatar, but because there was the approval from the Israelis. So what the Israeli did in reality was to create this monster that actually is turning against Israel now. But when I started to ask the question, to whom it all benefits? If you tell me tomorrow Hamas wins, the Palestinians win, then it's fine. Then I'm happy, because Palestinian struggle is a struggle for the global south. It's a struggle for humanity. It's inhumane what they've done. But my question is, if this doesn't happen, and you have displacement of population, you have these dramatic scenes that we are seeing these days, hundreds of children dying under the bombs, then maybe it was part of the plan. Maybe there's Hamas jumped on the bait that Israel gave Hamas. We give you an opportunity, close an eye, and ultimately, well, we are going to lose on the Israeli side, 2,000 people. But what is it? when you think about this plan of Greater Israel, because they're very clear about this. What they want is actually not only get all Palestine, but also to extend Israel, to have this Greater Israel that is much larger than what Israel is now. So I want to put the whole context of what is happening now. And it's very strange because you have this Abraham's Accord where you had, the whole Middle East actually slowly making peace with Israel. You have some kind of rapprochement between, not rapprochement, I would say decoupling of Israel. Slight decoupling, because Biden and Netanyahu don't get along well. So it does sound strange. And again, there's also this moment where you have NATO, which is losing against Ukraine. Is that enough ramp for the US? Diversion? Because you see, nobody's talking about Ukraine anymore. And then there's internal problems. Netanyahu has lots of problems internally. There are lots of protests. Hundreds of thousands of people are going into the streets. So this whole context. Why now? Why now? You see, how many fronts are there? Now there's one front in Ukraine, and who are the participants? We are talking about NATO, EU against Russia. Now you have the Middle East. Who are the participants? The US and Israel. Against who? Well, probably the whole Middle East, the whole Arab world, including Iran. And now there are preparation in Southeast Asia. We see Philippines getting together with the US. You have Australia, unconditional ally to the US. You have Japan. Who are they going to fight? They want to fight China. So we have three fronts. So my question is, when you have three fronts, what is it? Well, that's World War III. That is World War III. So this is what we're facing. So it's dramatic when you look at those videos, and also when you look at how mainstream media is dealing with what is happening in Palestine. How many kids died on Israeli? And it's not about comparing the pain of one side against the other, but how many, they claim 40 kids beheaded on the Israeli side with absolutely no proof. But see, this fake news came out and everybody took it, and then there's not so much disclaimer, right? But now the real kids, children dying on the Palestinian side. And this is indiscriminate bombing, shelling. There's no targeting. It's about making Gaza a parking lot. That's what, and they're saying clearly, they're actually so open. They're saying, well, you know what, this is going to be another Nakba. Nakba is this whole drama, or this whole crime against humanity, where you do basically ethnic cleansing. You displace population, and that's what they want to do. They're doing many different phases. You see, since 1948, when this conflict started, you had different phases where you had waves of Palestinians leaving Palestine. And now that's another one. And ultimately, when you look at the land actually that belongs to Palestinians, getting smaller and smaller every year. So again, what I'm just thinking is, just ask yourself the question, how did this happen? And I have the impression that somehow Hamas is a kind of a tool, knowingly or not knowingly, about of the collective West and the US. And I have the impression that, well, this project could happen only if they have the whole support of the Arab world. But will they jump in? Who can jump in? Iran will jump in? Well, they in words, yes. I mean, so far there's a support. But do they have the means to do that? Lebanon? The economy in Lebanon is completely destroyed. Syria the same. Who can jump in? But then I have one idea, is that really the only way that the Arab world, including Iran, would be able to inflict pain to the collective West and the US would be another oil and gas embargo, the same as they did in 1973. Well, if they do that, then something could happen. Because, I mean, what I mean by something could happen is that, you know, it's just amazing. But that's the highway, but you have, yeah, I mean, it's almost like you could have like horses on the highway. It's just funny. So yeah, an oil and gas embargo, this could be the solution. And the interesting part, you see, which countries are actually calling for de-escalation. So it's a pity. Let's see if you can see that. All right, this is the highway. You have this on the highway. People walking on the highway and celebrating. You know, I mean, it's just Sunday celebration. I couldn't tell. You know, there's also so many different religions. Not only Hinduism. You know, there's a subdivision, Sikhs. You know, I mean, many different religions. So yeah, it's interesting. Who are the warmongers? It's basically the EU, NATO. I mean, it's the usual. You know, nobody's calling for peace. The only one that are calling for peace, including, that means the Arab world actually, including Iran. Iran is calling for de-escalation. China the same. Brazil the same. India, they're not, you know, they're halfway. They're saying, well, you know, they support Israel. Well, why do they support Israel? It's more like a stance, like anti-Muslim stance, because it's very nationalistic, in, you know, kind of ethnocentric religion, Hinduism, right? And so the pro-Israel is more because of being anti-Muslims. Let's see if you gotta see that. It's amazing. This is the highway. All right, we're lucky. This is like celebration. All right. I hope you guys like it. Actually, this is the first time I've been here a week, but this is the first time I can do a video in India because I'm inside a taxi and I'm doing a long drive, like 4 or 5 hours. But usually when you're outside, it's so noisy, there's honking all the time that you cannot do any video. And hopefully the city I'm going to right now is Rishikesh. It's going to be less noisy. It's a kind of a spiritual place. It's a yogi place, lots of meditation. It's the Mecca. It's a yoga Mecca of India. So I hope I will do more videos. So what I want to try to do here is that, I mean, you guys can give me some comments, but I want to try to do some videos while traveling, showing you maybe some stuff about India, and also talk about the news, what is happening. I mean, the news these days is, you know, Israel is taking over the news. There's so much happening. It's important to stay focused on what is happening in Israel. But it seems like, you know, the trend is towards multiple fronts, maybe World War III, hopefully not. So I'll keep making those videos. Please like and share. If you want to support me, I think I'll put that in the link. If you guys can support me, you know, I'm trying to do this full time. They actually have demonetized my channel. This is why I'm asking, because you see, last time I did a live stream video with Brian Beletic, and a few hours later they just demonetized my channel. And actually I'm not the only one. There's Jackson Hinkle, Eva Bartlett. There's quite a few ones, YouTubers that actually got their channel demonetized just because, you know, they've been talking about Israel. So, well, again, thanks for joining. And let me check. Actually, this is the first time I do it with my phone. Let me check your messages. All right. Yes, sacrifice the rook to capture the queen. What is it? World War II is there. Did YouTube demonetize your channel? Yeah, I just said it. Oh, so you're asking where am I now? I'm actually in India, New Delhi, on my way to Rishikesh. India is a big mess. No, India is interesting, but actually, well, since we're here, might as well talk about India too. I think it's overrated, the development level of India. There's a huge potential. People are hardworking. But again, I think India has a problem of infrastructure. It lacks the infrastructure of a country as big as India. There's a income gap. I mean, poverty, the GNI index is really bad. And also I would say something which is extremely important is that you see GDP, we found out, especially after, with what happened in Ukraine, is that GDP is about producing tangible goods. The level of industrialization in India is very low. And self-sufficiency, even like for food, food security, India has more arable land than China, but it still has problems just to supply its own population. I mean, sad to say, but sometimes democracy is not, kind of Western style democracy is not the best thing for countries that are actually developing, because let's say you want to build a road, you have a position. It's not like you have a plan. You can do planification like in China. The central government says, well, this is what we are going to do. They, of course, they need to do compromises, but somehow they have a much tougher approach. If we plan to do this type of project, thousands of miles of highway, when there are going to be expropriation, but somehow people will be compensated. But if it's too democratic for especially low-level income countries, that makes it difficult. Why am I in India? I'm just taking a break. I want to cover a little bit, like the geopolitics if I can. Maybe interview some people, because I think India is very important. You need to cover India. India is going to be a critical country. In 2050 it will be the second economy in the world, so it's important just to learn about the country if you want to have a complete, a more broader approach in geopolitics. All right, what we have. Can Brian meet me in India? Actually, it's not far from Thailand, but I think Brian is quite busy. Thank you, brother. We will support you. Thank you. Hinkel was removed. Yeah, I'm in touch with him in Twitter. I think now, but think about it. Jackson Hinkle had 300,000 followers on Twitter, on YouTube. He was already making a living. So overnight, what the system does is just it cuts your funding completely. So you see, in my case, the good thing is that I don't depend on journalistic income. This is like, it's a side business that I'm trying to do, but I cannot live on that. And people like Jackson Hinkle, he's young, he 300,000 followers, and then you cut his income overnight. And now actually he has to focus on Twitter. And actually right now, Twitter is the only place where you can have a voice. For example, in my case, if you cut my Twitter, I have absolutely no voice. And you see, even this video, you guys are following. In reality, they do what we call shadow banning. Shadow banning is that they, with the algorithm, even though you subscribe, you might not see me all the time. If you are not a subscriber, you won't see me at all. That's how it works. And additional to that, I don't make I don't make money on making YouTube videos because they say permanently demonetized. And they actually they didn't even give a standard agreement. What do we got? Stay safe, Angelo. Capital of India is nice. All India is nice. All India is nice, and I think it's exciting to be in Asia in general. I've seen all the changes. I was the first time in India 30 years ago, the same time when I went to China. So I've seen all the changes. But I have to be honest, the changes I've seen in China compared to India, China is way bigger, way bigger. Sometimes, I'm just living like New Delhi now. I don't see much changes the last 30 years, not much. It's not as obvious as China. But because China, they really did invest into tangible things, infrastructure. They built cities of 10 million of people. Who said democracy is best? Well, this is a huge topic. China is democratic. Democracy means power to the people. It's just how you voice, is how the system actually gives you a voice, where your wishes are translated into action. But it doesn't mean that you put a ballot, you vote inside the ballot that it's a democracy. How has been you staying so far in India? It's been great. But again, I'm familiar with India, and I'm actually welcoming the changes, the differences. You need to have a flexible mind, really. Because everything is tough. It's very poor. It can be shocking for some people, but that doesn't shock me, really. It's just welcoming the differences. That's what I'm looking for. When you come to places like this, you do a full immersion, and you try to get a feel of what people are going through. But poverty, people are struggling. There's lots of poverty. It can be painful. Okay, what we got? Brian needs to get out of. Yeah, actually, Brian is not covering much Thailand these days because there's a new government, and this government is actually pro-US. So this is why it's better not to cover too much Thailand. That's hard. So much for democracy, right? Watch out for the water consumption. Absolutely. Actually, I have a sensitive stomach, so I'm really careful. I had huge problems in 2 places in the past, was Nepal and India. Yeah, Gaza has no internet now. Well, you see, no internet is, why? Why do they do that? It's just, they don't want people to know about what is happening, what will happen in Gaza. That's why they shut down the internet. Americans will be running around crying, I don't think the electricity for everything. Yeah. But you see, okay, it's tough. It's tough for people in Gaza, but they were living in a prison. They were under humiliation all the time. I think you see the level of resilience is different than ours. Even though, some people have lost everything. Really, it's dramatic. But people don't want to leave, right? Leaving will mean that they would be, let's say, in Egypt, living in a tent. That's how dramatic it would be for people in Gaza. You can let us know on your next video. Maybe you could interview people. Yeah. Actually, I have, but it was like just not recorded. I took a taxi from a week ago from the airport to my hotel, and Actually, I started to ask the question, okay, what do you think about Israel and so on? Well, you know, when you look at the Western, I mean, media in India, it's like Western media, but it's like in low quality lies. You know, it's all sensational, but you know, and they just repeat the lies. I mean, and amplified. You know, they make it even more dramatic. So you know, it's like the taxi guy said, oh, you know, they say oh, Palestinians are killing babies. I mean, well, where do you start from? You know, really, that's the problem of information. Yeah, actually, anyone discussing Israeli conflict in India? Yeah, people do. Actually, there was a. It's interesting that I tweeted that you can check on my Twitter feed. There's actually an event. You had like dozens of people in the street of New Delhi supporting Israel, but you know, we are talking about dozens of people for a city of over 10 billion people. So yeah, I mean, they have their own problems, you know, and I think again, you know, this pro-Israel stance that Modi has, it's more not so much pro-Israel, but more like anti-Muslims. You know, there's a slight, I don't know how deep is the anti-Muslim sentiment here, but it's existing. But at the same time, it's a very tolerant society. You know, people live together, many different, you know, religions, nationalities. You know, nationalities in India, I don't know how many there are, but it's hundreds. You know, there's maybe probably thousands of dialects. You know, it's you know, people think it's just one race, one nation. No, it's extremely complex. Actually, the whole Asia, it's not uniform. You don't have, you know, you only have a few society which, you know, it's only one race, one culture. I mean, the Koreans, for example, you know, the Japanese. But once you are in this part of the world, like, you know, in India or Myanmar, Burma, for example, Myanmar, Burma, there are, I think, over 50 nationalities, and I don't know how many languages. So it's extremely mixed. All right, guys. It was nice live stream. I'll keep you guys updated. Well, this is like just improvised video. I was like, well, let's catch up a little bit. You know, that's the first time I do a video since my channel is demonetized. But you know what? It doesn't matter. I'll keep on doing videos. And again, you know, if you like the content, please like and share. You know, I just want to just keep in touch with you guys. You know, I kind of enjoyed those discussion exchanging, you know, and because it's nice to exchange, especially most of the people that follow me are into like geopolitics. So for me, it's some kind of therapy actually. When you can exchange with like-minded people, either with my followers or with people that do the same as me, like content, what they call content creators. You know, it's a kind of therapy. You know, we grow together, we learn we learn from each other. I learn from you guys too, because I get like lots of very interesting feedback, either on live feed or actually through Twitter or through. Put my links, Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee, in the description video, and I'll keep doing videos these days. Okay, stay safe, huh? Bye bye, and free Palestine, free Palestine, free Palestine.